Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium, CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Michael Voris. Abusive priests still serving. A grand jury report confirms that as many as 37 sexually abusive priests are still active in Philadelphia, contrary to previous reassurances made by the archdiocese there. Cardinal Regali has reopened the cases of the priests in question, immediately placing Father Joseph L. D. Gregorio, Father Joseph J. Gallagher, and Father Stephen B. Perzan on administrative leave. The Cardinal has also hired a former Philadelphia Assistant District Attorney to re-examine all cases of accused priests that are, quote, of concern to the jury. In a previous reference to archdiocesan priests still serving, Regali said, quote, the report states that there remain in ministry archdiocesan priests who have credible allegations of abuse against them. I assure all the faithful that there are no archdiocesan priests in ministry today who have an admitted or established allegation of sexual abuse of a minor against them. Egypt's Christians threatened. With the president of Egypt finally ousted, Christians are recognizing an urgent need to take on a more active cultural role. Although Christians and Muslims are mutually supportive of each other in the country's coup, past acts of terrorism against churchgoers keep clergy members and the faithful cautiously optimistic in the beginning stages of this, quote, new Egypt's development. A Pew Foundation survey points out that 84% of Egyptians support the public execution of Muslims who convert to another faith, a frightening example of underlying prejudice toward Christian converts. Egypt is home to 84 million inhabitants, of which only 10% are Christian. There are only 250,000 Catholics in the country. A key to effecting change will be in Christian school, since institutes of higher education in Egypt attract the attention of Muslim citizens whose general education level is very low. Priest murdered in Colombia. The Pontifical Mission Societies is reporting that a 26-year-old Colombian priest who served as vicar of his diocese cathedral has been shot and killed. The news was confirmed in a message by the Colombian Episcopal Conference. According to information gathered among the crowd, an armed youth shot the priest and was later captured. The motive remains unknown. The bishop of the diocese is calling for some light on this murder and has issued the following statement, quote, we seriously deplore the cowardly assassination of Father Orozco. This shows once again the serious crisis of human and Christian values from which our society suffers because God is forgotten and because there is contempt for human life and dignity of the human person, end quote. 87% of the nation's 44.5 million people are Catholic, according to Vatican statistics. Stay with us. Back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
CatholicUnderground.com, the podcast about our Catholic faith and new media.
Live Action hires former Planned Parenthood head. Live Action, the pro-life group that has recently released more than a half dozen videos exposing Planned Parenthood employees advising clients about services for underage sex workers, has hired Abby Johnson, a former Planned Parenthood clinic director from Texas. Johnson made national headlines when she quit her job as chief research strategist for the Texas abortion mill after having a change of heart, in her words, upon watching an abortion being performed on ultrasound. Johnson said she was eager to help Live Action expose the group and said in a statement that the incidents in the Live Action videos, quote, are not a rare occurrence. I can tell you from experience that Planned Parenthood often turns a blind eye to sexual abuse and trafficking, she said, but ignorance is no defense, especially when it has turned their clinics into a safe haven for those who sexually exploit women and girls. And lastly, faith gives strength, Pope says at audience. From the Vatican, drawing on the example of the life and writings of St. John of the Cross, one of the great mystical writers in Christian history, Pope Benedict said faith in Christ, quote, is a light, a force that helps us carry our burdens, and, quote, an estimated 4,000 people gathered for the audience and was the third that Pope Benedict dedicated to one of the doctors of the Church, men and women who made important contributions to Catholic theological understanding. I'm Michael Voris. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. And be sure and check out the Vortex today, where we discuss the financial cost of abortion to the economy. Thanks again for tuning in. Be sure and tell your friends about us. And as always, God bless you.